Hello, welcome back. I'm Brendan. So I'm just going to take you through prefabs and like how they work and what it really is. So basically, prefabs are current, like we have dynamic plugins at the moment. Prefab is just a dynamic plugin, but it's self-contained in a way. It has its own data model, and that data model gets managed by the plugin itself. So when you will publish this plugin, that data model gets created for you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to configure data bindings yourself. It just happens for you when you drop the app. So you can build a plugin, a prefab plugin, without ever having to touch a data model, if that makes sense, on Studio side or on Dexa side, wherever, app builder side. So an example of a prefab would be like an email widget, where you would have an email, you have an inbox, that inbox has its own data model, and the plugin will push emails to its own model without the user having to configure an email inbox document and an outbox document or whatever you really want. So yeah, I'm just going to take you through how that works. So we're going to start here in the extension, VS Code. So you'll see now, if you're familiar with this is just an all plugin. So you'll see now, if you add a plugin now to a package, you'll get, I'm just going to call this prefab. Get a new template. It's called the Prefab Template, obviously. So you just go prefab, and then what it does is it goes and creates a prefab for you. So cool. So I'm not going to install packages now because we don't need to. So I'm just going to show you. So there's our prefab plugin. So you'll see now, if you add a plugin, a prefab plugin, and you open it the first time, you'll see you have this data model section. So the template will give you a pre-configured data model, so you can just get started and see how everything works. So in your data model, you have entities, which are your documents, and then you'll see there's a list of them underneath entities. So if you expand an entity, you'll see there's your fields and your links on this entity. So if you want to add another entity to your data model, you can just go here and click plus. It will open a little wizard for you. We can add an entity, let's call it user. You can go enter. So I'm not using a mouse at all at the moment. So I just go enter. I can just go from here on. I can use my arrow keys up and down, whatever. I can now say enter, so it will take me straight into the fields wizard from here. Enter, I can just enter a name from a field called user ID. Go enter, give it a type. So you'll see these types are the same as our document types. So you just choose a type, say text, boom. So now I'm out of the wizard. I can now go, do I want to add another field, or am I done adding this entity? So I can just go, boom, I want to add another field. Let's give this thing a name, username in the user document. So give it a type again, boom. Can add another field. Let's call this email, for instance. Boom. So then I just use a type. And now when I'm done adding my fields, I can just go say enter on the done option, and boom. So now you'll see in your data model, that entity with its fields is just added right here. So now you don't have to click back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can quickly flesh out your entities, without using a mouse. So if you just want to add a field to an entity, you'll see the options here are just click plus next to fields, just add another field. Let's call this user ID, just make it text again, and then say done, boom. So you'll see user ID is now there. So like I said, what happens when you publish this prefab now is this whole data model gets pushed to the server. So you don't have to do any document migration or any data model creation or anything else. It does everything for you. So when you publish this package or this plugin with package with a plugin in it, this data model will get created for you. So yeah, let me just show you what that looks like. So I'm not going to publish it because I've done it in preparation. So when you publish it, you'll get your tables. So I just want to go here. So this is just from the template. You'll see there's your table already created, register example, that's our template table, whole document set up for me without me having to do anything. I just say publish and it's done. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like in plugin host. So when you start the plugin, run plugin host, you'll get this. So this is just the template design. At the moment, design doesn't have anything in it because we just care about runtime. So you'll also see there are no data binding config properties anywhere. Like everything is done in code. I don't have to do any like clicking and choosing a variable or data model and then binding it is just already done. So I can just straight up use this. So I'm just going to go from plugin host. I'm just going to say from host. Boom. So that's from host, and I can just untick that value. You click submit. There it is. So without me having to do anything, I have a record in this thing. No data bindings have to be configured anywhere. So I just dropped it, I just use it, and I have my values. So now what I'm going to do is just to show you how this works in App Builder is I'm going to open App Builder for you. I'm just going to add a solution called my prefab solution. Doesn't matter. Just to demonstrate, so add a solution, adding it, go to prefab. I'm just going to add a simple web app. Boom, call this prefab app. Okay, cool, there we go, save it. And then now I'm just going to go to App Builder. I'm in App Builder now. This is a blank web app. So you'll see now, usually you have the option create your data model or use existing. So because it's an app, I just have to give it a base data model. So I'm just going to give it, this is just going to be my main data model. This data model actually doesn't get used by prefab at all. Your prefab defines its own data model. So you'll see now I'm just going to leave this blank as is, right? So now I'm just going to add a page, go add a page, call this just main, cool, create it, cool, there's my main page. So now you'll see I've pre-published this thing. So there's Prefab Complete, my plugin. So what I can do now is I can literally just drop Prefab Complete onto my page. So you'll see if this is just design. Now what I can do next is I can just straight run it. There's nothing to bind or anything. I just drop it and use it. So I'm just going to open App Builder preview so you can just see how this works. So yeah, I'm just going to say from App Builder. Cool. So I can just say boom, submit. I don't have any feedback, but believe me, it worked. Just checking. Cool. So you'll see now I'm back in SQL. I just F5. Let's say see from plugin host or from App Builder. They are both my records. So without me having to do anything, it just works. Cool. So that is basically the extent of prefabs. You don't have to do much. You just create your prefab and publish it and drop it and use it.